So a warm greetings to everyone who joined the session. My name is Diana Russo. I am a partnership specialist at UNOMAN and one of the focal points of the Equals Leadership Coalition, co-chaired by UNOMAN and ITC. On behalf of the Equals Partnership, Equals Hub, managed by ITU and today represented by Lina here, and the co-chairs of the Leadership Coalition, UNOM and ITC, represented by our, amazing collaborator Tobias Taminen. He will join us in greetings just in some moments. I would like to thank everyone for joining the session. Well, it's an exciting journey ahead as we are launching today the webinar series, Female Leadership in Tech Sector. So as you know, Equals Hub and Equals Partnership favors various activities. We like to give our stakeholders the opportunity to embrace new skills, but also to networks and also to learn something new and learn from examples from promising practices. So Equals Leadership Coalition decided to put their forces together and is proud to present a series of webinars designated to help women succeed in the technology sector as leaders. So our experts will illustrate ways to build on strength to find paths to tech leadership. We would like to thank everyone for their partnership and work on this series. From the hub, from each member of the coalition, you'll see a vast series of topics, beginning from leadership, cybersecurity. We also will speak more about network, about collaboration, about innovation. So be with us throughout the series. Of course, if you cannot join today, you are more than welcome to register and receive a recording because we know how hectic life is. And we also know it's summer and we would like to take a little bit of personal time, enjoy, recharge, but learn and keep the information going. So with this said, I would like to pass on to Tobias to make the introduction of the first session from this webinar series. Webinar number 1, From Zero to Hero. So Tobias, over to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Diana, for your kind words in the beginning and for introducing this webinar series. So indeed, my name is Tobias Tamminen. I'm from here International Trade Center based in Geneva, Switzerland. And we've been working really closely with Diana over the year as a co-lead of the Leadership Coalition. And I'm really glad that this year we are establishing this new kind of webinar series. I'm really proud our first webinar series that we have today and our first speaker. So I don't want to take much of your time anymore. It's already 4:15 afternoon here in Geneva. So let's just kick off. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today. Our first speaker, her name is Lorraine Hasson. Lorraine Hasson, she's an accomplished principal software engineer at a leading Silicon Valley payments company, where she has worked for the past 5 years. Her professional work has been featured in Apple keynotes. She was one of the 100 top innovators worldwide invited to the UK G8 Innovation Conference. And she's won more than 18 international awards of her work in entrepreneurship, product innovation, and leadership, including multiple recognition by the UN. Lauren is also the best-selling author of the Develop Her Playbook, published in 2021. Despite her numerous accolades, Lauren found herself with no job, with no marketable skills and no money in her bank account just around 10 years ago. Lauren found a way to rebuild her life from rock bottom and transformed herself into a top high-profile professional in less than 2 years. Lauren then founded Develop Her to help other women also in tech sector to get ahead, stand out, and build their value in a way that no one else would have to go in alone like she did. Please, ladies and gentlemen, give the floor and a warm welcome to Lauren Hasson.
Thank you, Tobias and Diana. Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. In fact, I am pinching myself that I am presenting with UN Equals because 10 years ago, I was absolutely at the end of my rope. I had hit rock bottom. I had just been laid off from one of the worst jobs that I had ever had. And let me tell you, I was absolutely defeated. It was a really bad situation. I had zero marketable tech skills or marketable skills at all. I had zero network and I had zero job prospects. To make matters worse, my credit cards were almost maxed out. I had no money in my bank account and I was getting by on tiny unemployment checks. It was a bad situation. And so when I wasn't looking for some sort of lifeline, I was on my couch, ugly crying. It was not good. It was not good. So I took whatever money I had left on my credit card and I threw myself a Hail Mary and I hired myself a career coach because I was stuck and I needed outside help to help me figure out what I should do next. And she had me take one of those career assessments that figures out what are you good at and what are your interests. And the results completely surprised me. They overwhelmingly said I should be developing software. And you see, this came as a complete shock to me because I thought that door had already closed. You see, I have a degree in computer science, but after some lackluster college internships, I had completely gone a different direction. I was an attrition number myself and had completely left tech behind. And here I was being told I should put my degree to work, which felt like a cruel joke. And you see, it wasn't a good thing that I had a degree because my tech skills were over 7 years outdated, which is like an eternity in tech. To put this in perspective, when I graduated, not only did the iPhone not exist, the Razor didn't even exist, and SMS text messaging wasn't even a thing yet. That's how outdated my tech skills were. And here I was being told that I should put them to work. I remember thinking, how in the world am I ever going to relearn tech skills, much less convince someone to hire me? But I also knew if I didn't put myself out there, I would always be wondering what if. So I took action. I enrolled myself in an evening community college course, and I started to relearn my tech skills at night. And while I was relearning my tech skills at night, I was pounding the pavement during the day, looking for any kind of lifeline I could to get my foot in the door and get that first job in tech. And it was a grueling process. I got turned down more times than I could count. In fact, I only got one yes. And that yes wasn't even a great yes. It was a tentative 90-day trial period yes to come in, prove myself that I could learn iOS, and I had 90 days to prove myself that they should keep me around. And now I was even more terrified then. I was terrified that I would come in, I would lay it all on the line, I would give it my all, and then that wouldn't be enough. And then not only would I be back at where I started, but I'd be even worse off than before and even more defeated. But I also know if I didn't put myself out there, if I didn't give myself the chance to thrive, I would likely always be wondering, what if? So I took that leap of faith. I put myself out there, and the result was in less than 2 years, I not only managed to keep that 90-day trial job and survive it, but I managed to absolutely thrive. I was one of several engineers who worked on bringing television movies and TV shows to your iPad for major television networks 10 years ago. And this was brand new technology then. I had been in a leadership role in getting content on your TV to sync in real time with content on your iPad for a major television network's 25th anniversary show. And this was bleeding edge technology at the time. And I had hit Mecca for iOS developers. I had my app featured in Apple's keynote, where I was one of 27 apps featured as a launch partner. And that was my app next to Facebook and Twitter and PayPal. And I wasn't just hitting it out of the park. I was also recognized for my work with the company-wide award, not once, not twice, but 4 times. My work had not gone unnoticed. But I wasn't just hitting it out of the park at the company. I was also really active in the tech community. And I had won multiple high-profile hackathons, including the South by Southwest hackathon 2 years in a row. And then I got the invitation of a lifetime. I was one of 100 tech innovators worldwide. And we're talking Craig Newmark founded Craigslist, and Kay Kopolotz, who founded the Sci-Fi and Major League Baseball television networks, and then me. They put us on a private 747 jet and flew us from San Francisco to London to attend the UKJ Innovation Conference, where we presented ideas to the United Nations on how to bridge the global STEM divide. And with everything that I was doing, both in my tech career and in the tech community, my company's tech team and executive team, they took notice and they approached me and asked me to head up the company's innovation and culture committee. And it wasn't just my company's executive leadership team that had taken notice. I was regularly getting calls from top tech companies like Google and Apple and Facebook, recruiting me to come work for them. I hadn't even been on their radar screen years before, and now they were recruiting me to come work for them in such a short amount of time. In 2 years, I had gone from absolute rock bottom, 0 marketable tech skills, 0 network, 0 job prospects, to a top, high profile, highly recruited woman in tech. And I had more than quintupled my base salary. And now I'm living out how I define success. By day, I work remotely for a Silicon Valley payments company, where I'm the director of our core applications team, and I direct a great team in delivering great product, and I work remotely, and I'm living out how I define success. And I'm also the founder of Developer. I help women in tech get ahead, get promoted, stand out, and earn more in their careers. I work with individual women and then with companies and universities to help get them to the next level and build their internal bench of women in tech. And what I learned through all of this is that it's not some quantum leap or tap on the shoulder that's going to advance you, but instead it's the small actions that you take consistently and repeatedly over and over again that compound over time to yield incredible results. And that's what I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to share with you the top 5 simple things that I did to go to the next level, so that you can go put them to work immediately starting today and become your own hero in your own career. But first, before we jump into exactly what I did to get to the next level and exponentially grow my career, I want everyone to connect with me on LinkedIn. The conversation starts today, but the conversation does not end, and I want us to be connected. And then in the bottom left-hand corner of every slide are the social tags for this presentation. This is a social-friendly presentation. Be sharing out what you're learning with everyone. Share with the world what you're doing to advance your career. Now, the first and most important thing that I did that you can do too to take your career to the next level is to take action. I took action over and over again. When I say take action, I mean step up, show up, and ask. Even when it terrifies you, and even when you doubt yourself, take action. One of the highlights of my career was being invited to attend the UKG Innovation Conference. I mean, I still pinch myself that I got this incredible opportunity. It almost doesn't even feel real. But what's even more incredible is that I tell you, anyone I worked with at the time who was more talented and more qualified than me could have also had the same invite. But they didn't step up, show up, and ask over and over again like I did. You see, I can trace this incredible invite just back to 2 months when I started that new job in tech in that 90-day trial period. And the head of engineering pulled the entire department aside and asked us to volunteer an entire Saturday at a hackathon. And only a handful of us stepped up to volunteer, and I was one of them. And I remember sitting outside the Innovation Center before 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning, silently praying to myself, dear Lord, please don't let me make a fool of myself. I was that nervous to go in. But I stepped out despite my fear. I walked through that front door. And I discovered that, yeah, there was still a lot that I didn't know, but I found small ways to add value and I made connections there. And while I was there, I made it a point to meet the event organizer. And he invited me and all of my fellow mentors to continue to show up and attend his events. But only I showed up. And I didn't show up just once. I showed up over and over again. And then something happened. Several months later, he announced that he was having a high-profile event at South by Southwest, and even to get your foot in the door to one of the events, you had to have one of the event's $1,500 tickets, which I did not have at the time. And so I took action. I called up the event organizer and I pitched myself as a right-hand volunteer for him. And I not only got my foot in the door, but I got to work the door and meet every single high-profile person who was attending the event. Then something happened overnight. Literally overnight, one of the teams decided they needed an additional team member. They needed an engineer, and I was an engineer. So I went from volunteer to participant overnight. And we ended up winning at the hackathon. So when 1 year later, when the same organizer announced he was hosting an even higher profile hackathon, this time at South by, and it was invite only in tandem with American Airlines when they were doing their international rebranding event, big marketing push. And this event was invite only. I not only got an invite, but I got to bring my own team with me. And while we were there, we met a guy from American Airlines who wasn't part of the event, but he was really impressed with the fact that we won the event. And he followed up with all of us with a simple ask. But I was the only person who replied to his email. And I didn't just reply to his email, I cultivated that relationship. So when British Airways announced they were hosting an innovation hackathon in the sky event, and only 100 top tech innovators were invited worldwide, and American Airlines got to invite 5 people, I was top of mind and I got one of those invites. I did not do anything special other than step up, show up, and ask over and over again. And it's something you have the power to do starting today. Now, the second thing that I did that you can easily do to take your career to the next level is build your network before you need it. And I had learned the painful lesson of how important this was at the young age of 23 when I had just recently graduated college. And I had learned that it's not enough to do good work to get ahead, but people who influence your career, they need to know you and know the work that you do. And at the time I wasn't in tech, I was working as an investment banker. And at investment banks, you have an analyst cohort or class. And at the end of the year, the investment bank takes everyone in your class and they stack rank you into 5 different tiers. And the tier that you're ranked in determines your year-end bonus, and tens of thousands of dollars are on the line. So your tier really matters. And I went into my performance review. I heard nothing but great things, but they said they ranked me in the second to top tier. So I asked them the question that changed my life. I asked them, well, what held me back? And they told me that, Lauren, you're great at what you do, and everyone in our Silicon Valley office knows that. But not enough people who influence your career in the New York City headquarters know you and know the great work that you do. Right then and there, I learned one of the most valuable lessons. People who influence your career, they need to know you and they need to know the work that you do to get ahead. So starting from day one, before I even started to get back into tech, I made it my goal to build my network before I needed it. I started by building my internal network. I made it my point to get to know everyone at the company that I possibly could. I went out of my way to join committees, to meet new people, to meet people up and down the career ladder and across the organization. I went to breakfast, happy hours. I even went so far as to join the new hire welcome committee to meet people as they walked in the front door. And it paid off. It absolutely paid off. Within 1 year, not only did I know everyone at the company, but everyone at the company knew me. And when someone I worked with had a problem that they needed solved across the company, they came to me because they knew me and they knew that if I couldn't solve their problem directly, I could get them to someone who could. And it wasn't just my colleagues who were coming to me to solve their problems. Company leadership was also coming to me to help them roll out their most important initiatives because they knew I had the network and they knew I had the influence to get their new initiatives adopted. When your company colleagues and your company leadership come to you as someone who can solve their problems, you've become a linchpin. You become immediately valuable to them and you become an asset in your career. But I wasn't just building my internal network, I was also building my external network at the same time. And I got to tell you, this was really hard for me because I am a natural introvert. I have a stress reaction when I network with people. That is how stressful it is for me. But I was able to build my network one connection at a time. And I did it by building micro commitments to myself. I would make 3 commitments. I would commit to showing up to just one event. I didn't think about all the events I needed to attend. I just chose one event that I needed to attend. And all I had to do was show up and meet 3 new people. I didn't even have to stay the whole time. I just made a commitment to meet 3 new people and then I could bounce. And sometimes that's exactly what I did. And then I had to promise myself I'd show up just one more time. And that's what I did. I went to hackathons and conferences and meetups and breakfasts, and I built my network by making those 3 micro commitments. And at first I walked in and I didn't know anyone and it was scary. I'd walk in and I'd recognize a few people. And then something happened. People started recognizing me. And I discovered that I wasn't the only person who was nervous that I wouldn't know anyone. Other people were just as nervous too. And when they recognized me, they would come up to me. I didn't even have to go up to them. And then it got into the point where I couldn't even make it in the front door without someone coming up to me. I built that extensive of a network. And now I have an amazing global network and I built it one micro commitment at a time. And I'll tell you, I am not the fastest, most talented engineer out there, but I am one of the best networked and I'm top of mind. When someone in my network needs a problem solved, they think of me because they know me and they know what I do. And they know that if I can't solve their problem directly, then I can get them to someone who can. When your network sees you as someone who can solve their problem, you've immediately become more valuable. Now, the third thing that I did that you can do too, starting today, to go to the next level in your career and exponentially build your value is constantly learn new skills and build your portfolio. Constantly learning new skills and building your portfolio, figuring out what are those skill sets that every employer needs, that not enough people have those skills, and learning those skills immediately puts you in a position where you are really recruitable and marketable and can get opportunities that you normally wouldn't get. And for me, 10 years ago, that meant teaching myself iOS. And the operative words here are taught myself. I didn't wait for someone to show up and teach me these skill sets. I went out and I got these skill sets for myself. I read every book I could get on my hands on. I did coding exercises. I was hungry for knowledge. And at first, these opportunities didn't come to me, but I didn't let that stop me. I went out and I created opportunities for myself. I volunteered for bugs, for projects that no one wanted, and I used each one to go to the next level. And when those opportunities didn't come to me, I went out and I created them for myself. I used hackathons, and there's a number of other ways that I talk about in my blog and my book. But I chose hackathons because they were time bound, they were testing ground for new skills, and I built my portfolio and network at the same time. And I used each hackathon, I used each bug project I work on to get to one bigger project, to one stretch project, to level up to the next level. And it paid off because I went from fixing bugs and doing work that no one wanted to do to working on one of the biggest apps that was featured in Apple's keynote in 2013. And 10 years ago, I taught myself iOS. That was a front of the line skill that a lot of people didn't have, that every company wanted at the time. But this wasn't something I rested on my laurels and said, I did it once, I don't need to do it again. It's something I realized I need to continually do, and so do you. And so I looked around several years ago and I said, what skill set do I need to learn? What skill set does every company need? And what skill set do not a lot of people have? And the answer that I arrived at for me personally was learning security. So I started over at rock bottom all over again several years ago, learning security and also voice and front end and full stack web. I got to tell you, this was hard. It was not easy. I actually shed tears doing this. This was not something that I would want to do again, but I did it. And because I did it, it paid off. I immediately became more valuable to my company because I filled in a role that they needed at the company. But I also added a skill set that made me even more marketable to my company and to the market as a whole. And I became even more valuable and more marketable. Now, security might not be up the line for you, but the good news is there are lots of different skills that you can learn out there that are going to put you in a great position to be recruitable and more valuable. And my advice to you is not to play catch up and try to get in at the back of the line and catch up with people who've been doing work for skill sets for 20 years. Instead, figure out where the front of the line is. What are those new skills that not a lot of people have experience in that every company needs? Those are the skill sets that are really going to set you ahead of the pack and get you to that next level. Go learn those skills. Figure out what those skills are for your company in the greater market. Learn those skills and you'll immediately become more valuable. And when you're doing that, maintain what I call an Attagirl journal. This is a journal that I keep to track my accomplishments so I can review them and use it to talk about the work that I've done in my resume for promotions and talking with new recruiters. But I also use this to build my confidence, to reflect on how far I've come and the growth that I've made. And it's important that you keep this because the next thing you need to do is talk about and communicate your value. This is not something that can be done in a silo, great work, and expect someone to notice. In fact, too many of us women leave it to chance, think that we can do great work in a silo and someone's going to come along and notice that work. And that's not something that we can do. You have to become your own best self advocate and put yourself out there and tell people about the work that you're doing. And I know it feels icky and self-promotional, but you can do this in a way that feels authentic and genuine to you. And here's what I do. And this is very simple. I go to an event, I finish a new project, I meet new people, I finish a new book, I take a lot of pictures. I take pictures of what I did, of material that I did, of end product, of people. And then what I'll do is I'll choose one picture that looks representative, and I'll post it in not one, but 3 places. The obvious place might be LinkedIn, so your external network can see what you're doing and have a quick description with the right tags and mentions. But the other 2 places are where you really get a lot of value out of it as well, that a lot of people don't think about. The one other place you need to post it is in professional networks and communities. So like if you're a part of like a professional network, like a SIM or a SWE or a Lean In network, post so your peers and your colleagues in that network see the work that you're doing. And then also post it internally at your company so your colleagues and your leaders see the work that you're doing. Now, one post is not going to change your life. Usually, one post did give me the opportunity to get into security. But the power really kicks in when your network sees you posting about the same opportunities over and over again. When people see you doing the same great work, the same great expertise over and over again, something magical happens. You build yourself a reputation. And I didn't just build myself one reputation. I built myself multiple reputations. I built myself a reputation as an expert in iOS, I built myself a reputation as someone who competes in and wins hackathons and is active in the tech community. I built myself a reputation for someone who is in security and does voice and full stack web. And I built myself a reputation as a speaker and an advocate for women in tech. And I keep building reputations to this day, and it's something you can do too. And the power kicks in when you do it over and over again, consistently and repeatedly. And you have the power to start doing that today. And it doesn't have to be icky or inauthentic. You can do it in a way that's genuine and authentic to you, one single post at a time. Now, the last and most powerful thing that I did to transform my career and take it to incredible new levels is I invested in myself. And that's what you need to do too. Invest in yourself, invest in yourself, invest in your career, and invest in the change you want to see in your life. My first investment was investing in a career coach. I was stuck and I knew I needed outside perspective to help me get unstuck. And that's exactly what she did. She helped me figure out what I should do next, and she helped accelerate my path back into tech. My only regret in hindsight is that I didn't hire her sooner. It had that much of an impact on my life. My second investment was in enrolling myself in a community college course because I needed to get my tech skills back, and I needed to prove to employers that I wasn't just saying it. I was putting my money and my time where my mouth was, and they believed it. They showed them that I was actually getting it done. Then when I got my foot in the door, I didn't stop there. In fact, I doubled down and I invested in myself even more. If I needed books to learn new skills, I got those books for myself. If I needed resources, if I needed to get in a conference, if I needed someone to come along and teach me new skills, I didn't wait for a mentor to come along. I went out and I hired a coach to short circuit that learning process. And now people who were once teaching me skills are coming to me for that advice. The tables have completely turned. This is something that I didn't just do 10 years ago to get back into tech. It's something I can have continued to do and prioritize to this day. I invest in myself in a number of ways. I invest in multiple coaches over the years because I know the value of having a coach come alongside me who's gotten the result that I want and short circuit the learning process and help me get to where I want to go. I'm a member of multiple membership communities. I don't choose just one, but I join multiple membership communities to be alongside like-minded individuals who have similar goals. I'm constantly learning new and valuable skills by attending industry events to sharpen my skill set and meet new people. And then I've been talking about this even before the pandemic, that I get professional counseling and I take care of my mental health because I know that if I don't take care of myself first, I can't even begin to take care of my career. And you may be looking at this thinking, wow, Lauren, this is a lot. And I'll tell you it is. It was a lot. I've invested a lot of money in myself over the years. But because I've invested in myself, I went from rock bottom, absolutely broke, zero marketable skills, zero network, zero job prospects, to a top high profile woman, highly recruited, and I have more than quintupled my base salary. If that is not a return on my investment, I don't know what is. Now, I've shared a lot of stories with you today, and I've shared them with you not to impress you, but to show you what's possible when you put this framework to work. And let's see if everyone can get in the chat. Who here is inspired? Give me a plus if you're inspired today to say, hey, if Lauren can do it, I can do it too, and go to the next level and get change in your career. Show me if you believe that you now can go to the next level. Now, I see that we have people here, but you're not giving me the plus. So maybe you're wondering, well, Lauren, it's great that you can do it, but can I really do it too? And I got to tell you, let me tell you about several women who've sat exactly where you are today. Exactly where you are today, who've listened to the same keynote and gone out and got incredible results in their own career. Santi saw me speak at a Dell event, and she was coasting in her career, and she went out and realized that she needed to take action and tell her leaders that she was interested in a leadership role. So she did that day. And the next thing you know, she was in the emerging leaders program at her company. And then she got approached for a promotion by her senior vice president, not the other way around, getting recommended by her manager. And then she got promoted. And then she's also a role model and mentor for women in tech and ambassadors worldwide. But it wasn't just Santhi who got change in her career. Her husband also saw that she was stepping up and taking action and getting change in her career. And he went for that stretch promotion that he had been putting off and got it too. So it changed their entire family. Lynn had been out of the workforce for a number of years, and she was nervous to even get back, but she heard about building your network before you need it. So she started attending women in tech groups to build her network. And then she heard about a hackathon and she said, I want to do it, but I'm afraid. So she remembered, just show up. And so that's what she did. She showed up, and she discovered that she knew more than some of her other teammates, and she was teaching them, and they won 7th place internationally. And now she's working as a business intelligence developer and has more confidence in herself. Linda was it was at a Google event, one of the times I spoke there, and she had a light bulb moment. She realized that she was trying to play catch up and that she should find front of the line skill sets to go to the next level. And so she left with resources that day to get certified as a Google Cloud engineer. And then serendipity and fate interacted. And when a friend called her up and asked her to be on a project with Google Cloud technology. And she had overwhelming imposter syndrome at first, but remembered that I said, just take the opportunity and build your portfolio as you go. So she not only got paid to build her portfolio and learn Google Cloud technology, but she also discovered that the other people on the team were learning just like her. And then she got eventually certified, and she did it in her 3rd language. Barbara was a program manager, and she'd been out of the workforce for a number of years. And her confidence was at an all-time low. And she heard that she needed to communicate her value. So she started communicating her value to her friends and family. And then that spilled over into interviews. And then she got a great opportunity at a company where not only did they create a role for her, but they started evolving that role around her special skill sets. And recently she just bought her dream home in Mexico, where she's going to work internationally, and she's living out how she defines success. And then finally, Tracy at the time was 55 years old and living on minimum wage, working bagging produce at Walgreens. And she had been on mental health disability for 18 years. And she heard this talk. She goes, if Lauren can do it, I'm going to give it my best shot too. So she started attending women in tech meetups, and she started relearning her tech skills at night. And then she started networking to tell people what she could do. And she landed a role as a technical project manager at a nonprofit, and she's living on her own in Houston. But her story doesn't end there. Through the pandemics, Tracy got creative and made sure that she was a linchpin and valuable to the company. She took action, and she not only got 2 raises during the pandemic, but she got promoted to associate director. And now Tracy's biggest moment came when she said, Lauren, I figured out that I can figure it out. And to what I told her, I said, that's confidence, Tracy. And you can do it too. The first thing you need to do is take action, step up, show up, and ask, even when it terrifies you and even when you doubt yourself. Take action. Second thing you need to do is build your network before you need it. Figure out, who do you know today? Who do you need to know? Then go bridge that gap, one connection at a time. Then constantly learn new and valuable skills and build your portfolio. Figure out what are those front of the line skills, and go talk to your hiring manager and your recruiters to figure out what are those skill sets, and then build your portfolio to show that you have those skills. Then communicate your value. Don't do work in a silo and expect people to know this. Communicate your value and tell people about the work that you're doing. And finally, and most importantly, invest in yourself. Invest in the change you want in your career, the change you want in your life. And don't forget to take care of your mental health. Now, there's a free giveaway. If you go to developher.com/journal, and give me your email address. I will email you a copy, a free download of the award-winning Atta Girl journal that will enable you to track your accomplishments and build your confidence over time. And if you want more information to go even deeper than I did today, I have a best-selling book that's based on today's talk that goes even further. And it's my hope that in a year from now, I'm not just sharing the stories of all of these women, my story, and all the thousands of women that I've helped through Developer, but I'm sharing your story because you drew a line in the sand today and said, you know what, if Lauren can do it, if Santi can do it, if Tracy can do it, I can do it too. And you took action and went out and got the career that you wanted for yourself. Thank you so much.
Wow, Lauren. I think we all are so inspired. And I myself, I just think it's so important to have this type of meetings and to remind ourselves whatever 5 rules, what is one important rule that we can start today, what we have and what we need to add to progress in our career. Thank you so much. This was an amazing, amazing story. And I see our stakeholders identify with your story or with some elements, and we are all ready to start. So, because we have 5 minutes, can we just, and I see in comments, and probably you do as well, Lauren, but everyone is so inspired. We have a tendency to appreciate little moments, but today we really appreciate the layout that you put for us. We maybe, here we speak about leadership, and here we speak about women in technology and digital. And I know probably each of us has a lot of questions, but maybe if you can share something about your thoughts. Leadership is, everywhere, at every stage. And of course, we can grow from 0 to hero at every stage. It's not for everyone to be a CEO. It's not for everyone to be a team manager, but we can be leaders in our own way at everything we do. So would love to hear some reflection from your end now, and maybe a small advice for if these 5 rules are applicable everywhere in the world, like globally thinking, can we adapt them in a way? For example, if we live in, Tanzania or Canada or Mexico, do you feel that they are all equal, or do you have an advice for adaptation? Over to you, Lauren.
Yes, thank you. And that's such a great point, Diana. You do not have to be Sheryl Sandberg to put these to be a leader. And in fact, that's actually part of my origin story with Developer. I founded Developer, and I didn't think anyone would care about my own story and what I had done in my career because I wasn't Sheryl Sandberg. And in fact, I was wrong. It was my story that resonated the most, and I sort of become like an everyday hero. And what I've heard is that this isn't just for leaders. This is for women who are just starting out. This is women for starting over or maybe coming back from making a comeback. I have men who have read my book and seen my keynote and seen me when I speak, who are front row when I speak at Dell and other companies, who are going, this is what I put together in my career, and this is the advice that I'm taking. And I've spoken internationally, and this is, I market to women specifically because that's where we need the greatest change. But this is really a recipe for how do you get change in your life. And the most incredible part is you don't have to be ready. You just have to be willing to take that action and put it to work today.
And it's such a great point and a connection to the question we have. Well, not always, but there are moments in our life that we do have the syndrome that everything is bad currently. We think that we cannot do it. We think that we are not good enough. So can you give an advice to all of us who have these moments where to start, how to overcome this, how to have a little bit of courage to give ourselves a chance.
Absolutely. And I'll say, look, I still deal with that to this day. Every time I level up, there's a new level, new devil is what they say. And every time I level up, there is that fear going, what if this is the time that I fail? What if this is the time? And I still, and I own that on big stages going, yes, I doubt myself all the time. And I still put myself out there. I still take that one smallest step that I can make. And I don't try to eat the whole elephant at once. I take that one small bite that I can, and that one small micro step that I can take forward. And then I take the next step, and then I take the next step, and I focus on what's just a step in front of me instead of looking at what's the whole thing that I'm afraid of accomplishing.
Now, this is exactly, I think, the support and the ideas that we need. And we heard the amazing story that Lauren so generously shared with us. She gave you a little bit of tips and also materials, and in our follow-up email, we will also share. We have previously organized with Equals Partnership the webinars on leadership, also discussing about the financial component, about management, about leadership from the perspective of culture, organizational culture, and also at UN Women via the Women Empowerment Principles. We do have the trainings on confidence. We speak about the imposter syndrome and how to overcome this, and also how to embed the network and the career elements. So I hope this session was a good inspiration for a moment important for any moment in our career. And we do thank Lauren so much for her amazing speech. We do thank everyone who joined today. Please share the recording, please share the link, and please share the resources. Thank you to Equals Hub, Lena and Taras, and everyone for amazing support. Tobias and I would like to invite you to the next session of the webinars. Please join us and please stay connected. Please join the Equals Leadership Coalition, or please just inform us about your activities in your community related to leadership. We will be happy to share the amazing news, but also to join the activities that you are organizing. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day, afternoon, and evening. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.